Cult classics are always interesting when you bring them up in a conversation about film. Everyone has at least one or two that they love. Every generation has their own collection of special little hidden gems unique to each one. If you get into a conversation with any film buff, they'll probably start rambling to you about all their favorite unheard of movies. Yet, what's more interesting is when a cult classic comes out of a massive Hollywood studio. Disney has quite a few examples of this concept. The Black Cauldron, Watcher in the Woods, Tron, and so many others I could name. The reason why they probably have so many cult classics in their catalog is probably just because they have such a large output in comparison to everyone else. But there's always one Disney cult classic that stands out from the rest. One that, in a way, has slowly permeated its way into generations of people's hearts and even larger popular culture. That movie, of course, being a Goofy movie. This movie is one of those rare examples of a cult classic arguably evolving into just a general classic for many generations. It's one of the few films I've seen break the generational barrier and be loved by children and adults alike. Of course, I want to present my own history with this movie. I wasn't alive when this movie came out. I am, pretty obviously, a 2000s baby. But I still grew up with this movie in my own way, usually catching it on TV and borrowing it from my aunt and uncle who had it on VHS. In fact, I'd like to say there's probably a good number of people around my age or a little bit older than me who have a deep connection with this movie. If you do have a personal connection with the movie, let me know in the comments below. Let's start up a conversation about it. But anyways, this film still sticks with me, and I think it could stand toe-to-toe, or maybe even eye-to-eye, with some of Disney's best movies. But before I get to that, I want to talk about the making of this movie. I think I should first mention the director of this movie, Kevin Lima, who was a major creative voice for this entire production. He did some work as an animator in Oliver & Company and some character design work on The Little Mermaid before working on it. And afterwards, he would go on to direct Tarzan, 102 Dalmatians, and Enchanted. The funny thing about his story is that one day he just walked into the office and asked if he could be a director. Of course, they rejected him, but not because they didn't think he could do it. No, instead it's because they already had so many other people slotted for future directorial debuts. I guess that's what happens when a committee decides what movies you get to make and what movies you don't. Thus, he was chosen to direct the movie mostly out of necessity, but he took his chances where he could and made the best movie he can. This movie is sort of an experiment by Jeffrey Katzenberg, one of the heads of Disney at the time, and Disney itself. They wanted to gather together sort of a B studio. They pretty much built this studio to see if they could make movies on lower budgets but with similar quality to their A studio's output. And what was their A studio output at the time? Oh, you know, The Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin. So, yeah. Let's just say the B studio was left with big shoes to fill with little money to do so. And another thing is that a lot of the crew were doing these jobs for the first time. First time director, first time editor, first time storyboarder. I think you get the point. This is mostly because these guys came originally from TV animation, mostly working on Disney's Saturday morning cartoons like DuckTales. One extra fun little fact is that Katzenberg almost canceled the project when he was first shown it. This is because the crew focused on showing gags and focusing on the comedy of the movie, but Katzenberg wanted to see if the movie had a heart or an emotional core. Thus, the crew changed directions and moved with that instead. This movie was a global effort. Just to get it done, they had to get Disney animation studios from all over the world to help, such as the studios in France and Australia. But they also used freelance animators living in Burbank to animate some of the scenes as well. And this is kind of when we get to the tragedy in the film's making. It's nothing too horrific or sad or anything. But basically what happened is that as they were about to release the film, Katzenberg left the company. Because of this, the other Disney higher-ups started doing things to the movie, such as limiting the film's distribution, dropping a lot of merchandising ideas they had planned, and so much more. It's probably why it didn't have a massive impact at the time of its release. It even got poor reviews from major critics, but to be fair, the amount of times I've seen critics get it wrong when a film releases could be counted on thousands of hands. I just want to add here that if you liked what I had to say, how about you go check out Not Just a Goof? It's a great documentary about the making of this movie, and has way more info than I could ever squeeze into a review. So, if you're interested, go check it out. It's a great film. Now, let's get on with the review. I think I should start by talking about the plot of this movie. On the surface, it looks like a traditional pedestrian road trip movie, which is not 100% wrong, but the genius of this movie comes from how they use a road trip plot to its full potential, mixing in fun tangents with moments to insert phenomenal character work as well as fun gags. Speaking of tangents, I just want to add that I love Lester's Possum Park as a scene. It feels real, run down, like a tourist trap you'd find on the road. Plus, the gag where the kids jump the guy in the Lester suit is really damn funny. The movie starts with a dream sequence, which is another trope, but it's used incredibly well. It establishes the core themes of Max's fears and character arc without making it too vague or too blunt. Which leads me to talking about the character work. All the characters are simply exceptional. Goofy and Max are both lovable dorks. They're both written so well. You get where they're both coming from, but also understand why they have a distance between them. It just makes you want to scream, "Just sit down and talk to each other already." But you get why they don't. Just want to add here real quick. I do hate when people complain that a movie could be solved if the characters simply talk to each other, mainly because it's not as simple as that. More so, when people say that, it's usually them complaining about a plot contrivance more than anything. But when people complain that a plot is based on characters not being honest with each other, say what you will, but almost all of Breaking Bad works because the characters don't sit down and talk. That's how you make a good plot sometimes. It isn't an end-all be-all method, but a good writer makes this stuff work, and a bad one doesn't. Anyways, Max is a relatable character without being boring, which some writers struggle to do with, but Max is a great example of the relatable everyman character. Pete is also a complete dirtbag, and I love it. He's the type of guy who does things to help his small sense of security, and it works perfectly. Max and Roxanne's relationship is so cute. I don't know if that's weird to say, but I think the writers accomplished making their relationship charming and believable. On another note, the visuals of this movie are simply top tier. The animation is also smooth and eye-catching. But this was also made during the era when every Disney movie had some incredible animation to begin with. In the eye-to-eye dance scene, they actually hired dancers and choreographers to record a live-action rough draft of the musical number. They had separate dancers act out as all the different characters. Then they used these recorded scenes as a template to animate the entire number. Hey, if that's not dedication to the visuals, then I don't know what is. The visual storytelling is some of the best parts of the movie. The characters' reactions, facial expressions, and movement paint a beautiful picture of who each character is. But they also use the visuals to do a lot of the legwork of the story. I especially love the Hi Dad soup scene. It's just one simple visual, but it does so much to communicate the love Max and Goofy genuinely have for each other, even if they're too deep in their own issues to admit it. The visuals are just great at giving stomach punch after stomach punch in this movie. Of course, the visuals aren't the only part of conveying a story. The voice acting is also some of the best. One voice performance that I think I need to highlight is Bill Maher as Goofy. I mean, I could explain why, but let me just play this scene for you.
I just hate to be the bearer of bad news, but,
What is it, Pete?
your kid's duping you.
What do you mean?
Well, I heard the little mutant telling PJ that he changed the map, so you're heading straight to L.A., pal.
What?
Oh, you tried, Goof. He's just a bad kid, that's all.
I don't believe you.
What?
I don't believe you, Pete.
Well, hey, don't take my word for it. Check your map.
I don't need to check the map. I trust my son. You know, maybe Max isn't all the things that you think a son should be, but he loves me.
Hey, my son respects me.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think I need to explain why this scene is good, but I will anyway. Just look at the animation between the characters, the gentle anger and building frustration in Goofy's voice. The idea that Pete would even imply that Max would lie is a direct insult to him and his son. And Bill Maher explores that through his voice perfectly. Don't get me wrong, everyone else has great performances too. I think Jason Marsden as Max does a great job too. And for some reason, his scream is hilarious, I don't know why. Though, speaking of voice performances, the songs are also fun and jaunty. They remind me of some of the show tunes in the Muppets movie, which is definitely a video I should make at some point. I especially love the song On the Open Road. It's fun, bouncy, and the visuals have such a dark sense of humor that really clicks with me. Though, now with all that being said, it brings me to my closing points. I wanted to make this video partly because I learned a Goofy movie's having its 30th anniversary this year. And isn't it phenomenal that this is something that now matters to a lot of people? It really is the little movie that could. Quite frankly, that got me thinking about how we need to celebrate little movies like this more, to cherish them more often. Because year after year, all these great little movies come out with little to no love at all. So, if we find the ones that do connect, we gotta keep them close and share them with each other. If we don't, then so many will fall through the cracks. That's all I gotta say. I hope you found this video enjoyable. Do you got a special connection with this movie? If you don't, well, hey, I hope I got you to check it out. With all that being said, I'll see you next time.